Welcome to the IDP Hunter Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hungar, the IDP Hunter. I'm joined with Jamie Perogue tonight. How you doing, Jamie?
Doing good. Ready to talk some football.
Hey, speaking of which, this week on the IDP rankings, I am the number 2 IDP ranker again on Fantasy Pros. We're in that contest, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. But you know and I know, Jamie, it's not about us. It's not what we do. All we are is an extension of each other in this community. So tonight I have a special guest I brought on. Please welcome IDP Iggy.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me, Jamie. Thanks for having me, Steve. It's always fun getting on these shows, and honestly, I haven't been on too many. I haven't been invited to as many this year, so I feel
you're all over the place usually. So it's a slow year for you?
Nah, I mean I've got some coming up. I think I've got about 4 guest appearances this month, so that's enough to keep me busy, about one a week, on top of everything else.
I hear you. So Jamie, Iggy works for he does sports gambling, he does the Fantasy Alarm. I asked him to send me his resume. I'm just going to read it to you. This guy's a jack of all trades. He's known for everything. And you're the kind of people in this community that, I want to kind of highlight some of the stuff you're doing. You run fantasy leagues, you run charity leagues. You're all over the place, my friend. So just something, I just wanted to give you a shout out. Appreciate you. Listen to this resume, Jamie. IDP Iggy. Sure, he's a writer. He does his own site. Listen to this. 2009 Community College Parliamentarian. I don't even know what that is. What's a parliamentium? I don't even know what that is, Iggy.
Parliamentarian. So
yeah, what is
that? When you're having, it's like a kind of like the steps of becoming a politician or an attorney. Like somebody like the president could be like, this is the topic, and I'll be like, hey, out of order. The point of order right now is we're talking about the funding for the rec center. And, it's like, well, then I'd be like, oh, we got to take. So basically, I just like keep people in check the whole time while they're talking. So
you got to keep us in check with this IDP. I want you in charge of my community. I'd give you the golden.
I gave that up after a semester. I had to read this thing called Robert's Rules of Order. They use it basically for every governing body, goodness. Just about. And that's you have to learn to speak like that. Out of order, table. This person has the floor. That person, nay, yay. And, nobody really likes that person that just interrupts you when you're talking and you're like out of order. So you don't make many friends like that.
Epic's in the chat. He said, "Congrats. What's going on, buddy?" Jamie, every time I talk to Iggy, it's kind of why I want him on the show. Every time I talk to him, I learn something new. He was also 2012 TSU Chess Club. Amigo disc golf creator, archaeologist by training, skier by choice, lover of sports, fantasy sports player for 16 years, and spreader of the good word and gospel of IDP. Did I sum it up well enough, Iggy? I don't know, but like, what don't you do? That's probably a better question.
Hey man, I just have like a natural curiosity about life, man. So I like to kind of find out a little bit about everything. That's why I tell people I know a little bit about a lot. That's the best way I can sum it up. Not sure I know a lot about anything specifically, but I'm just curious, man. I have a couple lifelong goals. One of them is to always be learning.
So I was telling Jamie, because we just opened this part up. We do a live show here, as you can see. We opened it up. I wanted to bring guests on. You're my first-round draft pick, man. Because like I said, I find you interesting with some of the stuff you're doing, specifically in the community of IDP. Jamie, I know you don't know about this, and I've been trying to tell you. About this FF7 league. So I'm going to let Iggy do it. It's an interconnected multi-league, right? Iggy, how would you describe the FF7 charity league?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's a charity league. That's a big roster, small bench. You've got 15 starters. You only got 5 bench players. That includes 6 IDPs. You play a defense and special teams, which I'm coming to find out. That's really what makes it special in a lot of ways, because you don't see that a whole lot. A lot of times the IDP community will shun defense and special teams, but I like to stack it. You're a Steelers fan? Go get TJ Watt, get the defense, and get the points just like you do on a wide receiver, quarterback combo, tight end, quarterback combo. Why not, man? I just always thought that was fun. But it's very competitive, and it's a 16-team league. So this year there's 6 teams of 16. Every other year we've had 7. You got to battle out with your division. I tried to make like a mini NFL. You have your division. You start your league against 3 games against your division. Your last 3 games against your division kind of mirrors. Pretty fun.
And the benches are so shallow. Like it's so hard to like game ahead. Like I'm hanging in there. I had a couple upsets, had a couple ups and downs. I'm hanging in there, but it's the best of the best competition, Jamie. Next year, you got to give us a try. It's an F7 charity league. And I went to ask you this offline, Iggy. Every single one has a person's name on it, correct?
Yeah, it does. Like the 6 leagues, and those are the people that won the previous year. So they kind of become kings or queens. And then there's an emperor who, an emperor by definition is a king that rules other kings. So that person becomes the emperor, gets the crown. Just a little perk I do, to make people feel special because, gosh darn it, you win a 16-team league. You can't just luck your way into that. You got to really earn it. So
you got to know what you're doing. You don't just back into that. What got you playing fantasy football? You said you've been playing it for 16 years now. What got you started all that long time ago, specifically IDP? Because we're in a niche kind of area. How long, or better yet, why have you been playing?
Yeah, I met my neighbor Mark, who I still compete with to this day, and he just like wore on me. He's one of those people that'll just, for lack of better words, just bug you. Because he knew that I could tell by talking to him that I knew a lot about football. He was like, man, you know a lot about every team. Why aren't you playing fantasy football? I was like, I don't know. I was like, I like real football. I don't want to play fantasy football. And he just kept wearing me out. And then one night we used to have like a fire pit, totally illegal. We were right in downtown. We had like a fire pit because our yard was just gravel. We didn't have any grass or anything. So, and then we were sitting there and he's like, just sign up right now. He's like, give me your email. I'll sign you up. You're going to play. You're going to love it. And I did, and then I was like, man, you're a crappy commissioner, Mark. And so I took over next year, and I just saw IDPs when I went to set it up on NFL.com. I was like, Mark, you're not even playing with all the players that we can, because I thought everybody else was playing IDP, not knowing anything about fantasy football. I was like, yeah, everybody's probably playing both ways with their players. So the next year when I created it, I just threw the IDPs in there. That year we only had 4. And then the next year, I just realized, man, there's so many good defensive players out. Let's bump up the roster. Let's bump up the amount of people playing. And that's how that charity league started. It's basically a copy of everything we started back then 16 years ago. So only 1 year without playing IDP. If I set up a league, they're going to have IDP in them. That's just I just find the game exciting.
A question in the chat. Seaworth asked, any bets this week? You're in for a treat because that's what Iggy does. Jamie can talk bets all day. Iggy is a sports gambling bet superstar. So yeah, he's got some stuff for you guys, and he's going to plug his own site too. Like I said, I'm kind of an amateur with it. I kind of look at matchups, what have you. One more question for you, and we'll kick this thing off. Sorry, I'm going a little long, guys. I'm interested in this. Iggy, you're talking about charity leagues. And I kind of know this question. I want you to bring awareness to a bigger audience here. Jamie, when you hear the word Kawasaki, I think of like the motorcycle, right? That's what I think of. No, there's more to this. In broader terms, can you explain what the Kawasaki disease is and kind of what this tournament, or what you do rather, to raise awareness?
Yeah, and I forgot to send out my experience, which I normally do with the league every year. Like Steve, your first year, I didn't get that to you. But my daughter contracted it, and we didn't know what it was, and it was right before COVID. So let me just read what the CDC says about it. Kawasaki's disease, also known as Kawasaki syndrome, is a disease that can cause damage to the heart and blood vessels, mostly in children younger than 5 years. My daughter was 10 months, so she couldn't even really speak or anything. The cause of it's unknown, but it is a response to the virus. In the continental United States, it's about 9 to 20 people out of 100,000 get it. It was much lower than that before COVID. There's kind of a correlation between COVID and the rise of Kawasaki's disease. In 2019, there were more than 5,000 children under the age of 18. Of those children, 3,693 were under 5. So, it sucks because it targets little kids. We were in there and we saw some other families, and I just didn't know what it was. Just like you guys, I thought of a quad or a dirt bike or, some kind of recreational vehicle. And, I skied all the day that day, and we were bad. Like they kept telling us like it's parvo or, it could be Rosario disease, which is pretty common in infants. And that's the trick to Kawasaki's disease. You got to catch it soon enough. And if you do, usually the symptoms aren't bad. Like my daughter was just borderline. She had to take aspirin for 3 months after it. So I just was like, man, I'm not a doctor, but I know I can tell people about what this is, because that's really what it boils down to. If you know what it is, you can be like, hey, well, what about Kawasaki's disease? Can we make sure it's not that? And then if you catch it, you're pretty much good to go. So that's why I started it. We were affected by it. I wanted to spread the word about it. And, I wanted to spread the word of IDP, but with a good cause. And every year there's somebody that's never heard it. Every year there's somebody that, didn't know about what it was, what it entailed. We've had one person whose daughter had it as well in the league. And then actually one of my good friends that I'm in a lot of leagues with, his son, they thought he might have it. So because he brought it up and his doctor was like, you know what, it might be. Let's go check that out. So just those little bits of awareness, can kind of help out a lot, because, each one teach one kind of a philosophy when it comes to that.
Exactly. Usually we end the show with stuff like this, tell us where we can find each other. But I just wanted to start the show like that because I wanted to do it justice. Last year's show, I owe you a show, Iggy. Last year's show, my computer screwed up and you kind of carried me through it. So I want to show you I can do a good podcast here. But all we are is an extension of one another. And these are the neat things that we see in the community, what we're doing and all that stuff. And thank you for letting me be. Oh, this is a perfect question here. Thank you for letting me be a part of your charity league tournament. Tommy Ratusak said he met IDP Iggy and Jamie at the expo. They are awesome. Yes, I know, Tommy. That's why I got him on the show. They carry me through. They carry me through, my friend. Yeah, I guess we can. Go ahead, Jamie. What you got?
Someone asked the question, is Geno Smith droppable?
Yeah, we're getting to it. I guess we should start with the offense. And Jamie, I was going to ask you if you want to do quarterback in another category, you can, or if you want to just stay quarterback, go right ahead. But yeah, you have questions in the chat. I'll just kick it off to you and go, my friend.
Yeah. So right now you got to keep in mind bye weeks are happening. We got the Falcons, we got the Bears, we got the Packers and Steelers all on bye week. So you might need to pivot. I'm going Stafford this week versus 49ers. Stafford's hot. He's averaging 290 yards and 2 touchdowns a week for the past 3 weeks. He had that 375-yard game. And even on a short week, he's got top 12 upside right now. So I'm going after him with confidence. Geno Smith, here we go. Geno, it's been rough in Vegas, right? But
it has.
He's going to be on the road. He's averaging 325 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's 22 fantasy points on the road. This week he gets Indy, and they gave up 375 yards and 3 scores to Stafford, who I just talked about. So Geno is a sneaky play right now. And Jackson Dart, I know Malik Neighbors is out, but Jackson Dart always has that upside with his legs. He just had 54 rushing yards and a touchdown. He finished his QB 11. I think he could be a top 12 sneaky upside. I think he had 6 design runs and 3 scrambles, so that's going to help him. Plus the Saints, they give up 20 plus a game to quarterback, so he's a legit QB2, I think, right now. And then Sam Darnold, here we go. He's been steady, like the last 3 weeks with I think 16 points a game. And Seattle, they just run on the Tampa's elite run D, right? Like, they can't really run. So I think they're going to have to throw it. So those are my guys for this week streaming.
Love it.
Jamie, you had a question in regards to how do you feel about Dart? I think I know the answer to this question. Do you look at him as a QB1, QB2, or QB3?
Well, I'm assuming he typed that before I talked about Dart, because I did say he has that legitimate top 12 upside. But this week, I think you can start him as a QB2 in Superflex.
Yeah, but like for the season, because I see a guy 130 yards passing like whoop-de-doo. You think his legs match him up for that? Do you think you see him as a QB2 rested away, or that's probably that'd be a better rephrasing?
QB2, and he's got that upside with the rushing. Like I said, he had 6 designed runs, and plus all the scrambles he's going to see. He's going to get it done on the ground.
Gotcha. Is that it for you at quarterbacks, though?
Pretty much. I mean, in deeper leagues, I guess you could go Wentz, maybe Dylan Gabriel if you have to, but I don't want to touch anything on the Browns.
I hear you. Okay, well, I'm going to kick it back over here to defensive linemen. Unless, Iggy, do you have anything to say about the quarterbacks? I mean, for me, it's pretty standard status quo. Do you got anything to add or anything you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I think even without receivers, Mac Jones might be decent Thursday if you're really in a bind. You know, if you have Joe Flacco and, you have Joe Flacco, let's say, and, Jordan Love. And now you're out. Like, don't be scared to go take a look at Mac Jones. I think he'll put up a decent floor game.
Gotcha.
Going to be playing from behind. I like that call.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's good. Hey, for defensive linemen, I mean, generally we do this show, Iggy. We do this as a streamer show because most of our leagues, maybe not the MFLs, most of them are already waivers have passed, so now we're trying to stream. So I try not to mention guys owned over 33%. So I'm looking at mid-league, deep league, middle leagues. Right now, I guess everyone's going to be talking about Tuli Tolopolo. Hopefully I said that right.
Yeah, I wrote it out like how I had to pronounce it because we had to say his name so much this week. We had to.
So in our Kings Classic League, I have 5 or 6 defensive linemen. And you know how they are over there. Nobody wants to trade. No one wants to trade. No one wants to get got in a league like that. It's an industry league. No. I was trying to trade Tuli before because I was over my roster by 1. It's always great to have players till you're over. And I messaged the great John Norton, and he's like, no, I'll pass. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because Tuli has 16 pressures in 3 games. This was before week 4. So I had to drop him like a dumbass, Iggy. And he finished with 9 tackles and 4 sacks. So somebody's going to get a player. And then John messaged me back. I guess we'll both be on waivers looking for him. He's the top claim for streams. I'm not going to break my neck, honestly. I'm not going to do it because 1, I just dropped him. So I'm going to double down. I'm hard-headed, right? Yeah. 2, Max should be coming back week 7. And 3, I just feel and I'll open this up to both you guys if you have a take. I just feel like Mac's going to be one of those guys that's probably 25% of his season. You know what I mean? That's he ate half the pie. There's only a couple slices the rest of the year. I don't know. I don't really if I have a loaded roster, I'll play a boom bust guy as my DL3 too. But I don't think I would feel great every week if I had a guy like that as my DL1. It's too flaky, but nonetheless, he's the top option probably if you had a stream. Any thoughts there? Do you have any takes on Tuli?
Yeah, I mean, first off, if y'all don't know, he had 10 tackles, 4 sacks, and a forced fumble. I mean, we probably aren't going to see that high of an IDP stat line the rest of the year from anybody. But the crazy part is they lost the game. They lost the game, and he was able to put up those stats. And he was on my risers going at the beginning of the year. I was like, hey, keep an eye on this. The Chargers are going to have a pretty good defense. And I'm going after him, but I'm not putting all my fab on him, just for a lot of the reasons you said. And making his first start, so he's not going to really get that again. But I think he's good to go. If you're just playing with some waiver priority, try to get one in on him if you can. If you haven't had it yet, if you haven't cleared, if he's still sitting there, he's probably better than a lot of defensive ends still on your roster. But I'm not going to go spend all my fab on him. We're not chasing points. That's how you lose leagues.
So good transition. Now here is a player you can probably get a little bit later. I actually am interested in this guy. He's only owned in 70% of leagues right now. Latu of the Colts. I like what I've seen this week. He's waiverable. I'm trying to scoop him up. I prioritize him over a lot of guys that you would think would be on this list. He had 4 tackles and a sack last week. The only problem with him is 64% of snaps. That's barely cutting it. 67 week 1, 54 week. He's going to have to get an increase on those snaps. But Latu's a guy a lot of people dropped and forgot about. And I'll give you another one in this category. I don't know about you, Jamie. I don't know about you, Iggy. But when Nick Bosa got hurt this year, it killed me. I can replace a running back 2, a wide receiver 1, a tight end. I can replace a lot of positions. but an elite defensive lineman, we're all searching for the next Bobby Fischer, if you will. You know, we're all searching. I can't get that production back, so I'm squinting my eyes at a Tuli or a Latu. Alex Highsmith's been dropped a lot of places, and granted, that team you have a stash a lot of places, so you can probably scoop him up. The Latus, the Tulis, you're like squinting your eyes at trying to find production. It's really hard to find that production out there. Logan Eckler's in the chat. He said he loved him some Latu. I do too. Again, it's hard. It's like, you know, it's like you're a coffee drinker and you're trying to get off caffeine or get off the sugar. It's artificial sweetener at this point. I was saying, maybe I didn't hear it earlier, it's hard to replace an elite defensive. I can replace a DL2 all day long. It's hard to replace a DL1. So I'm kind of squinting my eyes. So I guess what I'll do is I'll ask you guys, do you guys have anybody that you think's a boom that's about to pop? Because I got one more, and I'll kick it right back to you. I got a guy named Uchenna Nwosu. Uchenna Nwosu, he's only owned, 4% of places? He doesn't play much, Iggy, because he's always darn hurt. Well, last week they finally gave him 57% snaps. He ended up getting 2 tackles and 5 tackles, which is good floor, and 2 sacks. So these are guys that I think can pop, like a Nick Herbig. We've give those guys shout-outs before, you know, guys like that. But there's only a handful of guys for DEs that I can see that are going to be somebody that pops. Do you guys have any names in there that you want to throw in there?
I have one if you don't, Jamie.
No,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? You know who Tuni Polo, you know who he sacked? Jackson Dart. You know who's playing Jackson Dart this week? Old man Cameron Jordan. And he's actually listed as a defensive tackle. But, you know, if you're in a defensive line setting, he was available in basically every league I looked at. I don't have the percentages in front of me. He's only played 173 snaps this season, but he's still filling the stat sheet. He's got 9 tackles, 9 solo tackles, 3 assist tackles, 4 QB hits, 4 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, and 1 passes defended. He's currently 20th all time on the sack list. And he's only 1.5 behind Dwight Freeney, 2.5 behind Derek Thomas, and 4 away from Ricky Jackson, which that might be too much of an old name drop. New Orleans Saints used to have this defense called the Dome Patrol, and Jackson was the sack artist there, obviously, if he's 6th all time, you know. So he could come – in this game, he could come right up beside Jackson, and they could temporarily be beside each other. And I just think Jackson Dark's going to get sacked. He's not a great passer. He relies on his legs, and Cameron Jordan still surprisingly quick. So I like Cameron Jordan this week, honestly.
You're mentioning – oh, go ahead.
I was going to say Cameron Jordan also has a $2 million incentive for sacks in his contract. So he's going to get them.
Yeah, $2 million talks. You know.
I was gonna say you're mentioning position. So what Iggy said for defensive tackle, Cameron Jordan could play defensive tackle in the NFL, so that's a cheat code. I have another cheat code for you guys in a minute. Question in the chat: who would you start, Leonard Williams or Granderson? I'm going Granderson this week. Yeah. Granderson's playing at 3-4. He's playing the edge. I like the edge position over defensive tackle. One, they don't get blocked as much. And then plus to set the edge means you're generating a lot of pressures too. So that's how I see it. Do you guys see it any differently?
I think they're both great, but I like Granderson a little better too.
Yeah, and then here's one that I was going to save, but I had a question about it. Joey Bosa or Jonathan Cooper. They're both not bad. This week, they got
Jalen Hurts and Drake May. Drake May for New England and Jalen Hurts for Philly.
And you know what's funny, though? There's nothing wrong with Joey Bosa. I don't play him as an LB, much like, you were talking about your cheat code MFL. You got to play him as an LB on MFL. And Sleeper, you can play him as a DL. Joey Bosa's Fantasy Pros DL 30 right now. I got him ranked right now as a DL 23 on the week. So one of us is wrong, Fantasy Pros or me. I don't know, but he's been outstanding this year. Yes, I said outstanding. When he's healthy, he's really good. He's maybe not an IDP starter a week, but he's considerable. Joey Bosa, if you're putting this deep. So far, he's produced 2 sacks, 4 QB hits, and a league-leading 4 forced fumbles. Also, PFF has him with an 18.2% pass rush, which is outstanding. and a 92.5 PFF pass rush grade. Guys, that ranks third out of 165 edge rushers. So yeah, Joey Bosa is my guy. That's a sleeper, a sneaky one that you can pick up a lot of places. I've been playing Joey Bosa a lot of places in like best ball drafts because like he's boom or bust, but this year he's got those forced fumbles down. You know, he's got the what am I trying to say? Splash plays, if you will. So go ahead and get yourself some Bosa. I only have two more for you for defensive tackle. I know I'm going a little bit long in the tooth. You guys should know who Milton Williams is now. I have a 32-team league, Iggy, that me and Jamie play in. The guys were like, "Who's Milton Williams?" Last year played for the Eagles. I go, "You're gonna find out. He just got a pay raise. He's got a 78.3 pass rush grade. That ranks 11th out of 179 defensive interior. He's been putting up some good weeks. I've been starting Milton Williams a lot of places. And if you don't have good options, heck, Iggy can tell you Wyatt of the Packers is doing very well right now. His former partner, Clark of the Cowboys, is another good one. And here's the deepest of deepest leagues options for you. There's a guy named Redmond. Do you guys hear about this guy, Redmond? He's a rotational player, but he's getting a lot of play right now, and he's defensive tackle eligible. So if you guys get a chance, he plays for the Vikings. Jalen Redmond, my last guy here, he's on nowhere. 68% of snaps last week with 2 sacks. So look into that, guys. I think I murdered the defensive line here. Does anybody else have anything, or you want to go to the next category, my friends?
Good one. Redmond's playing a rookie quarterback, making his first start in another country. So that could be good for Redmond.
Logan actually said he went from Bosa to Samson in IDP DL1. There's a site called the IDP Center. That's where we put a lot of these videos. They have best ball leagues. They have trade calculators. There's a 20-team league where they start 5 DLs. So that's what he's talking about. So it gets a little nuts in there. And then the next question from Sebastian was, is Greg Lassou breakout hopes dead?
Did they franchise tag him or did they pay him?
I think they just paid him, but don't quote me on that.
I think so too.
I think he's dead like Jason in Friday 13th Part 6. Put a little gasoline on him, put a lightning start. He could rise up. He'll have weeks, but he's not getting the volume. So I pick him up places, but I bench him until we know for sure. But yeah, the numbers aren't there right now. I think we're done with DLs, guys. Do you want to move on to the next category?
Yeah, we could do running backs.
All right, my friend, let's go back to you with running backs.
I got a few for you. So Woody Marks, this is the 3rd week in a row I mentioned Woody Marks on this show. So hopefully you guys already have him. He blew up last week, shocked everyone. 17 carries, 4 catches, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was the top 5 running back finish. And even with Chubb active, he still split that work. So Marks needs to be on your roster. And you can even start him right away. And then Justice Hill. Hill out-snapped Derrick Henry for the 2nd straight week in a row. And he turned it into 117 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Baltimore's working him more in every week. Like, he's a name you should watch. Then you got Kendre Miller. Miller had his best game, 65 yards and a touchdown, 11 carries. With the Saints are 0-4. He could see more work going forward. He's still Kamara's handcuff, and he's going to be a solid waiver stash. And then Rashad White. This guy is a must-add this week, and you could even go after Sean Tucker, but White would be the priority ad, and Tucker is that speculative ad now with Bucky sideline. And then if you have room on your bench, you could get Kenneth Gainwell and Algier if someone drops them because they're on bye week. And then I'm also going after Rashard Smith, I think, because if you want to get ahead of the backfield, I think you could stash Rashard Smith, and it could work out for you. And a deeper guy is Isaiah Davis, because now with Braylon Allen injured, the Jets love to run the ball, and Davis can be efficient on just minimum touches. So I'm going to give him a shot. So Iggy, out of all those, what do you think, or do you have any guys that I missed?
No, Marks is good. I've had Gainwell. I pretty much cuffed my running back. So Warren, I had Gainwell ready to rock and roll. DeMarcado, if you don't have him over in Arizona, he could be a good pickup. With the speculation that Benson's out this week, I don't think it's been confirmed, but they're talking about like he's not going to play. And they got Tennessee this week. So we'll see how, they've been letting running backs do what you saw what Marks did to him last week. So I do like DeMarcado too. But yeah, Gainwell, like if you have the room, go pick up Gainwell on his bye week, especially in PPR leagues, because he's already been the third down back.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a question in the chat, guys, for you guys specifically. Do you prefer DeMarcado or Carter in the Arizona back? Do you have a preference?
I've heard Carter's going to start. I don't know if that's true, but I like DeMarcado. I drafted DeMarcado in a couple of leagues, actually.
Yeah, I'd rather have DeMarcado.
You know what I was thinking when you guys were talking? I've played with you guys in enough chats, and like Iggy, like you, I like me some chess. You heard the Bobby Fischer reference. I know you did. I'm into chess, right? Strategy, I know how you guys play. Iggy was talking about he likes to handcuff his backs. You know what I do? Jamie, I'm that son of a bitch that handcuffs everybody else's backs. That's what I want. I want those guys, those bottom feeders, whatever, and then all of a sudden, oh, you need an Ollie Gordon. Here you go. You need a DeMarcado. Here you go. That's what I do. Is it just me, but like linebacker and running back, they have no value until they have a pulse. It's like you have to get a vacancy. Like once you start getting that third down play or that coverage, that's when you can start playing these guys. So I don't have a deep list at linebacker as you don't with running back. But any thoughts there?
I like Cedric Gray. A lot of people may not know who he is. He plays for the Titans. He had 17 tackles last week. The Titans offense just looks absolutely terrible. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know how many they can't put together a drive, so they're just helping their defenses immensely over there. And then you've already mentioned this name before, Steve. I've heard you say it in other platforms and at the panel. But Demetrius Knight this week against the Lions. I mean, they're just Goff is going to pick on him. Gibbs is going to run at him. Montgomery's going to run at him. I just think there's a huge volume week for him this week against the Lions. And the Bengals are another team that can't put together a drive. You saw what Denver did to him. So if Knight Jr.'s out there, go take a look at him.
Yeah, I like that. There's a lot of LB2s that are floating around that have potential, like, they're winning their battles and they have potential to be starting somewhere. I just referenced Gray on the last show, so thanks for bringing that up. 17 tackles, that's not necessarily sustainable, but his 94% snap count. I want to see it another week, Iggy. Give me one more week. Give me one more week of that. Give me one more week of that, and I'll play him. You know what I mean? So right. I kind of interesting. So I've been picking up not Logan Wilson. I've been picking up Cedric Gray a lot of places too. It's just that I have him on my bench, if that makes sense. I've been doing that.
Yeah, I like your 2 good weeks, 2 bad weeks. So I got to have a little more consistency.
Right. And I love what Epic just wrote, so I'm gonna put up here. I want you guys to be careful. He mentioned Night of the Bengals. This is really new talk. This is the new sauce that a lot of people haven't really picked up on yet. Logan Wilson is rotating with Barrett Carter. It's been Demetrius Knight's show of late. Logan Wilson's only getting 80% of snaps. I'm not saying it's going to be like that every week. Like I want 2 or 3 weeks of body of work before I start, jumping to conclusions. You guys ever see that movie Office Space?
Of course.
Jump to conclusion, Matt. I need to get one for IDP. I really do. But I'm not going to jump to conclusions yet. But if that's the case, and Logan Wilson's going to be in some kind of rotational share, I will definitely take a shot on him. And Epic knows where I'm going with my rant here. I wrote a waiver wire article this week, Iggy, and I tried to make it witty with puns. I wrote Dee Winters is coming. I put the D in parentheses. Winters is coming. There's nothing wrong with Dee Winters, guys. I know we were all a little skeptical this week. I only have 3 in this category, Jamie, and I'll kick it back to you. So Dee Winters, he's playing alongside Fred Warner. We all know the 49ers is an LB2 lucrative role. But if you look at what he's done, the full body of work, it's been 32 tackles over the last 4 games. He's got matchups coming up against the Rams, Buccaneers, and Falcons. Those are certainly doable. So winter is coming. Pay attention to the injuries. Iggy just alluded to that. I'm going to throw Teddy Buchanan in, owned in 14% of leagues. If Roquan Smith stays injured, there's your guy right there. They don't trust in Trenton Simpson. I know there's a couple shows that they like him. I don't like Trenton Simpson. I've seen enough of him, but I haven't seen enough Buchanan. When he plays, he's a good player. 20 tackles Buchanan's got since week 2. He's nearly becoming an every down linebacker. From here, when I go to like deeper leagues, I'm still looking at injuries. I'm looking at guys like Eric Wilson of the Vikings, looking at New Sewell of the Bears. I don't want to harp these guys because, when they're in a injury role, once the guy gets back, once their starter comes back, rather, they're going to be, reduced back to what the roles they had. Iggy, other shows, I put guys like Nate Landman, Rosebill. I put all those on, so I don't want to keep revisiting a well. I'm kind of looking for streams. When you're in a deep league, good luck finding stuff like that. Good luck. You're looking for warm bodies. Justin Strenard's owned in 13% of leagues. You might be able to get him. He's been certainly sustainable. Here's one that you can get everywhere. You ready for this name? The Marcelino McCray-Ball. That's one of the Jets linebackers. Quincy Williams is hurt. He's had an injury. He's had an injury past. Sherwood's your every down guy. But when you look at the Jets depth chart, you can snag one of those third or fourth string guys really easy off the charts right now because no one's like paying attention to that. Now, granted, you're only going to get like 4 tackles a week. But in a 32-team league, hey, Iggy, I don't know if you realized in the Kings Classic this week, I won by one friggin' tackle.
Yeah, I did notice that. I think we were talking
Crazy,
about
right?
that. Yeah, that was a close battle, man. You blew out that
it
7.
Was one, but if oh my God. But yeah, and I don't know how I did that, but I pulled them out. But like if you're in deep stuff and it's a tackle, you need a couple tackles, there's a guy. And the guy in front of him right now, this is the big one, I think. Kiko Mauigoa, Mauigoa. Again, we're talking about 4 tackles a game, and it's if the starters are not out. That's how deep we're going at linebacker. Again, I can take these guys or leave them. You just got to pay attention to the every down role. And as you guys know, I write the every down linebacker article over on the Fancy Six Pack. So stay tuned to that. I try to keep up with this every single week. Oh my goodness. Sebastian was asking about the guys in the 32-team leagues. I don't know how to spell that guy's name. You said couple you spell so I can search the name. He must be talking. We had a lot like that. He must be talking about the Jets players. That's what I think he's talking about. Again, if you have a spot and you're starting, you have to start linebackers. There's 2 of them. One of them happened to be hurt this week. So priority 1 would be the weak side. Kiko, Mauigoa. Again, weak side is the priority. I want middle and I want weak side. I don't really care about strong side because, when the tight end's on the field, they kind of take those guys off. But if you're deep, this guy can be starting too. Marcelino, Marcelino, McCray-Ball. Again, I don't want to harp too bad, but if you're in a 32-team league, you are in the right place, my friend. Sebastian got it. He said yes. And then Epic's back. Epic asked Iggy, does he have any linebacker plays this week?
Outside of, I mentioned Gray. Let me pull up the report here. I talked about Knight Jr. He's available in quite a few leagues, so I don't think that's a bad pick as well. And then, I'll give you one more. I got Jack Sanborn. He may not. He's owned a little bit more. He's kind of a somewhat popular figure in IDP, but he played his most snaps of the season. Steve, last week he played 73. But so that could be partially due to the overtime. But he's had over 53 snaps in every game this season. So I'm not too worried about him. And he's got games against the Jets and the Panthers coming up. I mean, they're just going to run it right at him. They might throw at him some with, Taylor. He's coming around over there for the Jets, the tight end. So I think he's going to be in for a pretty good one. Kenneth Murray still in and out too. Overshown comes in a couple times, but I think Sanborn's kind of becoming the guy that they trust over there. And, he's in Matty Uberflez's defense, so he already kind of knows it. So I like Sanborn as well.
Chat's been popping. I'm trying to keep up with all these. I don't know if, Jamie, if you got this one, is Trey Benson droppable in a 12-man league? I don't know if Benson is okay to be worth stashing. I don't know if you got that one earlier.
Bench, so I'm assuming you have IR spots also. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So why couldn't you just throw him on your IR? And especially in a deep bench, who's on waivers that you're willing to pick up and play for a week. So I would just hold him.
Hey, I'm gonna kick it back to you for your offense, but I'm gonna put this question on the chat from Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson, that's not your real name. Anyway, he wants to know Kelsey Franklin or Hunter Henry. I know you're getting ready to get into your wide receiver tight ends, but that might be something you can answer here. So maybe 2 for the price of 1. But go ahead, Jamie. The floor is yours, my friend.
For wide receivers, I'm going after Malik Washington because with Tyreek Hill out, Malik Washington is going to step into that number 2 role next to Waddle. So he's already seen targets and brings that yak ability, yards after the catch. So he's worth a look as a streamer or like an injury fill-in. You could see up to, I'm guessing, 20% target share if he gets worked into that offense. Next, I'm going after the Giants wide receivers with Malik Neighbors done for the year. Jackson Dart is going to need some weapons. So Wendell Robinson, he's going to be the safe ad. Darius Slayton, he could be that deep threat upside, makes him a sneaky pickup. Alec Ayomanor, I know we mentioned it, that offense is just trash, but Alec Ayomanor's been targeted 5+ times in every game with touchdowns week 2 and 3. So Tennessee's passing game should open up eventually as Cam Ward can get more comfortable in that offense. So I still think he's worth stashing for future weeks. Marvin Mims, he isn't a weekly starter in Denver, but he's like a solid depth piece or like a bye-week plug-in. And he caught all 6 targets, and I think he got 69 yards, added a 19-yard rushing touchdown. So he's starting to get more involved in that offense. And next, I hate adding Browns, but Isaiah Bond, now with Tillman on IR, Bond could see those curl routes, could be a deeper play because with this Tillman injury, after Tillman went out, I think Bond ran 71% of the dropbacks, and he was targeted 19% of the time. Let's see. I think Troy Franklin could be a desperation play. Jalen Tolbert, possibly, maybe Turpin. Matthew Golden, I still think should be rostered. I can see big games coming for him soon. And as for that question, I kind of want Hunter Henry over Kelsey.
Interesting. Okay. Good question.
What do you think, Iggy? Who do you prefer, Kelsey or Hunter Henry? Because Franklin strictly could be just droppable. I don't know if he's a reliable starter.
I like all 3 of them. I have Hunter and Kelsey in a lot of leagues, particularly a lot of best balls. Against the Bills defense, if Matt Milano's not out there, man, dude, Henry's going to have a game if Matt Milano doesn't play. But he's such a great coverage linebacker, particularly against tight ends and running backs. If he plays, I think I honestly shift my vote to Kansas City. Kelsey's Kelsey in Kansas City. He's been getting more targets. He's almost due for another touchdown. So I would lean it. But if Matt Milano's out, I'm going Hunter Henry.
There's another tight end question for you, too. I'm assuming this is Dynasty or something. I don't know if you want to do Dynasty. Somebody asked Isaiah Likely.
Is he playing this week? Am I missing?
And that's what I was going to say. I'm gonna change their question around a little bit. So Tommy said Kelsey or Likely. maybe Dynasty. I'm going to ask Mark Andrews or Kelsey redraft, so that way we get the whole slice of the pizza here. Go ahead.
Well, I like Kelsey better than both.
Yeah, redraft, I would go Kelsey.
Yeah.
Dynasty, I kind of like Likely.
Yeah, I do too. If it's Dynasty.
Adrian Peterson's back. He put the switch down. He's done yelling at his kids, okay? Adrian wants to know, he was offered A.J. Brown for McConkey and Dobbins in his squad. Jalen Hurts, CMC, Bucky, Justin Jefferson, McConkey, Deion Smith. Holy cow, he gets roster. He's got Holland the flex, Amario Hampton. He's got bench Dobbins, Downs, Jennings, all of Scatterbo, Franklin White. He's 4-0 in a 10-man league. That's pretty impressive, man. You must be listening to the show, listening to all of Jamie's picks here. But that's pretty sweet.
So wait, who was his running backs? He had Bucky, who's going to be out, and then he has Brees, Hampton, Robbins, and Scatterbo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he was asking the question earlier, which one to start there, because look at all the stuff he has. He's loaded. I mean, that's a big effort for 10-man team.
This is a trade question. He was offered A.J. Brown for McConkey and Dobbins. So the problem is you're going to have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith on the same team, and I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
Smith has been outproducing Brown, I believe, and I think Brown only had one good game. I can see some positive regression coming, but I think you can get a way better receiver for McConkey and Dobbins. Like even Cortland Sutton, who's a top 12 receiver right now.
And I just want to keep your depth. That's what it comes down to me. If Keenan Allen or Quentin Johnston, something happens, McConney, he's already getting the targets. He's just not getting any red zone action because the other two guys are way bigger than he is. And as somebody that sees a lot of Broncos games, Dobbins is the guy. He's just the first guy to go 100-yard in Sean Payton's offense since he's been in Denver. We're talking 3 years. So they used Dobbins. Harvey had some good numbers, but it's because Dobbins was pulled in the fourth quarter. Harvey got most of the touchdown and the yards in the fourth quarter. So I honestly think Dobbins could outperform Bucky, can outperform Brees, can outperform Amarian too some weeks. I really do.
Right now, there's some players like DB1s that you can't even play anymore. Guys like Brisker, Newbin, Bates is suspect because it's all about rotation. There's some DB3-4s that I'm considering as my DB1 as this thing plays out. So we got some interesting players. I'm going to highlight a couple of them. And that's just the nature of the beast in IDP. Defensive back's the last thing I build on, Iggy. You know what I mean? Because it's so rotational. Going back to what you guys were talking about, I don't want stacks on my team. For offense, yes. On IDP, I'm good with it because defense is the only place where one play can happen, the ball gets snapped, and I can get points for 3 players. You know what I mean? The guy can get a QB hit, the pass can get deflected, the guy can catch it, he gets a tackle, and so I can get like a 4-man play out of some of this stuff. So I'm all about the stack. So I thought that was an interesting question, the way you guys phrased it. Like, hey, I wouldn't do that on offense, but on defense, I certainly would take a shot with some of these guys, going deep. So let's kick it off. I want to talk about a couple of these players. The first one I'm going to talk about, nobody is talking about yet. Marcus Sigel of the 49ers. He is a rookie of the 49ers. One thing about the 49ers, 49ers fans will tell you, Mace will tell you too, they're all about these day 3 defensive backs, picking them up all the time. He was like a day 3 guy, but here's the thing. He actually was pretty good in college. When you looked at his numbers in college, he was really good with the RSA scores. And right now, like, he's a great tackler. Okay, they got him in the box. I mean, what did he end up starting? Like week 2, he ended up getting box snap scores. 135 box snap scores is what I'm looking at. He's leading the league right now in box snap scores. He's leading the league. When he came out of college, he had 4.3 speed. His ROSI score ranked 44th out of 1,207 free safeties, dating back to all the way to 1987. I'm bringing him up first, Iggy, because there's chats, there's Discords I'm in. people are seriously dropping names like Holland. They're dropping guys like Delpit to get first crack at Sigil. So I'm kind of interested in playing him because there's some hardcore leagues that we're in that nobody's using him. So if you wait another week, you're probably not going to get him because he's got excellent matchups coming up against the Rams. So I expect Sigil to be busy again. That's the player I want everywhere. And here's another name I've talked, but I've never talked to him this way. I think it's neat. The Chiefs got a player. They got a defensive back now. His name is Chamari Connor. Okay. Chamari Connor is we're always talking about box snaps, right, Nick? Right, Iggy, right, Jamie? We're always talking about box snaps, but there's other snaps that are significant too. There's defensive line snaps. There's slot snaps. There's anybody who plays in scrimmage yards. That's what I'm looking for. Anybody who plays within that 2-yard radius off the ball. I was on Fantasy Frames earlier. I made up a fake name, kind of inappropriate, but I'm calling it the G-spot for right now. Okay? That G-spot snaps. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a G-spot snaps kind of player, okay? Connor is playing all of those snaps. 244 snaps, playing 83 in the box, 106 in the slot, and he's got a handful of plays DL. The reason I keep calling these G-spot snaps, I know I'm going to get some fun comments after this. 64.6% of all his plays are coming from those significant places on the field. The Chiefs are going to scheme him, man. They're going to scheme him and put him in the right places, as opposed to some of those other defensive backs that were taken way earlier than him that we're going to have to punt now. I'm giving you a small sample size, but last year we seen this play out. His rookie year recorded 77 combined tackles, sack, a fumble, recovery. He did that last year in limited play. So I just want you guys to consider those two. You can start those in pretty much all formats. I'm going to go a little bit deeper with y'all. If you want to look at guys that get overlooked, I know a lot of people are like punting Donovan Wilson. Okay, I get it, but he's bringing you snaps. He's got 100 box snap points, and he's bringing you points every week. What about guys like Amani Hooker? Amani Hooker is usually one of the top guys. In fact, I just pulled it up. 234 snaps on the season. 108 of those are in the box. You can get away with just scheming guys. And if that's not good enough for you, I got one more guy, middle leagues. I was hesitant last week. I feel okay with it now. The Will Harris injury, Reeves of the Commanders, he got 8 tackles last week, playing 80% of his snaps in the box. So it's a position I don't really chase, that safety position, since Chin left, which is like 4 or 5 tackles a game. But it's something I can get away in a mid-league, especially during this bye-week apocalypse we're about to have, So those are guys I can get away with in my middle leagues, and I'll throw some punts at you for deep. For deep leagues, I don't play free safeties. I don't know about you, Iggy. I don't really play too many defensive tackles. But for deep leagues, I'll play the hell out of some free safeties. Hickman, the Browns in the 32. I'll play Scott of the Panthers while he still has a job. There's some rookies coming up. Andrew McCubbin, remember that name, and Jonas Sanker. Remember those two names. You can get away with those guys deep. And one more thing we've seen this week. Remember Kyle Duggar? Iggy, you remember I was adding him, dropping him in your FS7. Don't know what to do with him. Well, this week he came on the field. He logged a lot of plays, and he got a lot of box. I still don't know what to do with him. But if you're in a league deep enough or you got a roster spot, you can go ahead and pick him up. He may be a G-spot warrior too. Thank you for that comment, Epic. Epic, you're my number one fan. I appreciate you out there, right? I like to play box guys. I like to play because I can gauge a tackle each week. I can't gauge a splash play, a big play kind of player. I can't. So guys that are playing significant snaps in the box, I want. Badger asked, someone dropped Delpit in my redraft, but I've been finding success with Drew Phillips, who's third in DB scoring. Would you start Delpit or Phillips? To me, it's going to come down to scoring, because if you're in a big 3, big play scoring, Badger, you can go ahead and either find me on Twitter message me, or if you want to put it in the chat, whatever. Look, send us your scoring, because if it's big play scoring, yeah, I'd like Phillips. But if it's tackle based, like Fantasy Pros, if it's 2-3 to 1 tackle to sack, I probably would keep my shot with Delpit. What says you guys on that?
Well, real quick, keep in mind Delpit does have some kind of a back injury. I think he was limited today in practice, so keep an eye on his status.
Okay, who would you rather Phillips and Delpit?
Me, Phillips. Phillips has been playing really well. So I'll just sum it up by saying I trust Phillips against the Saints, who do pass quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I like.
You don't see. Yeah, I've seen you play a little bit too. I'm more close to the vest. I want those tackles. You don't mind playing a cornerback, especially if they're thriving, huh?
Yeah, they're going to get targeted a lot too. I don't mind it, because there's better opportunities for solo tackles, in my opinion.
Yeah, see, I don't mind a corner. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind it. But, like, I play in so many tackle-based leagues, so the way I kind of cheat it is if they're in the slot and I know it's a 1 linebacker room or a 2 linebacker room, I'll go ahead and do it. Guys, since we have a little time before we go to these last categories here, I'm going to throw one shout-out. Josh Metellus, if he's out there in leagues, because earlier this year – Harrison Smith was kind of plugging in. I'm sorry, Harrison Smith was injured, excuse me. And Metellus was plugging in, playing a free role. When Smith came back like 2 games ago, Metellus got his box roll back, and he's been producing. Harris Smith is almost droppable now because he's not really doing anything. There's a guy here, Theo Jackson. He's taken over the Harrison Smith role. So you can probably play him a lot of places. But because he's doing that, Metellus is like that linebacker, box snap role again. It doesn't show up in the scores. I pulled Metellus up. He doesn't have that many yet, but give him a couple weeks. He'll catch up. And then finally, Isaiah Rodgers is like the ultimate punt. That guy had such a big game 2 games ago. I said I wasn't going to play him, but then all of a sudden he had that blocked punt last week or blocked kick. Hey, Iggy, here's a fun fact for you, right? I had Rodgers playing in one of my leagues. It was a best ball league. It was back in the summer when he was playing like kick return. I thought I was going to get kick return yards. So I opened up my best ball. They're fun to draft. I don't really look at them. I'm like, holy cow, I got like 150 points off of this guy. So it's kind of funny. Yeah, Badger. So Iggy's correct. He would have played him regardless, but big play scoring, those are the kind of guys you want. Delpit, if you look at his numbers, he doesn't do anything for you outside of a tackle or 2. So, yeah, don't listen to some of us old heads. That's what we'll go with. But, yeah, you're getting 6 points interception. Jamie, see that 3 points pass defense? The standard's 2 in IDP scoring 1, 2, 3. So whenever I see 3 points or 4 points, it's a little juiced up. That's when you do favor the cornerback. Fun fact, Iggy, and I'll kick it back to you guys. In the IDP Center, we have a 20-team league. You have to start 8 defensive backs and 8 points of pass deflection. I've never had a league like that before. You want to see all the defensive backs go first over linebackers? That's the only league I could think of to do some crazy stuff like that. But I don't know if Epic's in that one, but there's a lot of guys that are in that. So shout out to you guys if you're playing in some unique kind of scoring leagues. Hey, that's all I got about defensive back. That's probably the most excited I'm going to ever talk about those guys, Jamie, because let's face it, we hate those guys, right? They're grumpy. They change all the time. Back to you, my friend.
Yeah, so I'm going to end it off with tight ends. I got a few for you. Darren Waller, got to get him. He scored 2 touchdowns in the Dolphins' debut on just 3 catches. So now with Tyreek Hill out, he could become a key part of that Miami's passing game and possibly just instantly become fantasy relevant. Next, I'm going after Mason Taylor. He caught 5 of his 7 targets, 65 yards. The Jets really need a reliable pass catcher alongside of Garrett Wilson. So that makes Taylor an add with some upside for more big games. And then you mentioned going deep on Hooker. I love me going deep on tight ends, right?
You just wanted to say that.
I did. So look for Theo Johnson. Sorry. Theo Johnson now at Neighbors out, right? he could get more targets going forward. He's averaging already 4 targets a game. He's seen a red zone target in each of the games so far this year, and he caught a touchdown last week. And that's all I got for tight ends. I could go deeper, but we'll save that for another day.
So let me ask you this: if we talked Malik or Amani, so 2 hookers, if we talked to 2 hookers, would you go deep on tight end? So now you got me doing it.
Always go deep on your tight ends.
Oh, jeez. Oh, you got a question in the chat, dude. You got 2 questions. No, 1. I'm sorry. You threw me off. Tight end, worst of the season. How do you feel about Darren Waller? How do you feel about Theo Johnson? They're waiverable guys. And then Brenton Strange. Rank them, and how do you feel about them?
I think you'd have to go Strange first. And then it's a toss-up. I just mentioned Waller and Theo in the same breath. So pick one. I mean, Waller, older guy, he might break down faster. Theo Johnson's in the second year, and he's very athletic. So I might go after Theo over Waller. What about you, Iggy? What do you say? Oh, you're on mute.
You're mute, brother.
Yeah, I think I like Waller over. I have Theo Johnson quite a bit, but I like Waller. He's with Tyreek Hill going out, I think he's just going to become a very dependable target for Tua over there. So I like Waller as well.
I mean, I got no dogs in that race, but like you would think Theo Johnson, wouldn't he be the number 2 option now that Neighbors is gone? Jamie, what do you think?
Theo, yeah, I think so. It's going to probably be Wandale, Theo, a little bit of Darius Slayton.
Because if you look at the tight end landscape this year, we got our top 5 or 6 guys, and then it kind of fades off. I can make a case for Brenton Strange. I like what he's doing. But like these mid-tier guys like that, I think Theo can jump up. And I don't know what to make of Darren Waller. Outside of those 2 touchdowns, what do you have, like 30 yards? So that's an excellent question, Fearless Sam. Keep the questions coming. We're on the betting phase. This is all we have left.
Yeah, you also have to remember rookie quarterbacks love to rely on their tight ends.
True. You have one more question, and I don't have anything for bets this week, so I'll let you guys go with it. But you have one more question going back to the Superflex League. Epic was asking you about QBs. He has Hurts, Fields, Wentz. He's got RBs of Walker, Pacheco. He's got Aaron Jones, wide receiver Puka, Nico, Devontae, Diggs, Coleman. Man, this is an epic team as well to go with your name. Someone offered him Baker, Kyron, and Tet for his Nico and Pacheco.
Wow.
I'm doing that too.
Pause what you're doing. Go smash that. I made a similar trade. I ended up getting, I can't remember, but I sold Fields and Tet for someone. But yeah, no, that's a smash. Baker,
I can't get off Pacheco, and I've been trying to like give him away. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm stuck with him. Unfortunately, that's a good move.
I would do that trade without Kyron, just for Baker. Honestly, I might even take Baker straight up over Fields. We don't know what Fields is gonna do next year without a contract yet. Yeah, if he does get a contract, I would move him up in the top 15. But without that contract, I'm going to go for Baker. He's more reliable.
You know, I was on a show with Joe Wiggins, Offensive Points, another one of our Kings Classic alumni, Iggy. And he's a Bears fan. He's like, be kind to Justin Fields. I get the fantasy production, but like when I'm watching a game, if like I'm playing a game or I'm watching a game, he makes me a little nervous because I just feel like there's some tomfoolery there. You know what I mean? I'd rather have Baker too than some Fields and Pacheco. So yeah, I think that's a good move. I think you're getting off of questionable, less spike week games. I don't know. Oh, you got another one. You got Badger. I didn't see this one. Do you trust Njoku this week with Dylan Gabriel? You just said the rookie, it benefits him, but do you trust that combo?
You got to remember, Harold Fannin is also getting mad snaps. I think he even out-snapped Njoku so far this year. Plus, they're going overseas. They're playing a team that's already been there for a week or 2. So I wouldn't trust Njoku.
Man, this chat's been jumping tonight, Jamie. I think it's because Iggy's here. He must have some kind of good cologne on. Keep them coming, guys. Like I said, when the questions go, we're done. So keep their questions coming. Jamie, do you got anything else, my friend?
For not really. I know Iggy mentioned he plays in a league where you have to start a defense with his IDP. So if you are streaming defenses, go look for the Cardinals. They're facing Tennessee. Go look for the Colts. They're facing the Raiders. Another one, the Giants, because they're facing New Orleans, and you can even go New Orleans since they're facing the Giants. But then Minnesota versus Cleveland. Like I said, they've been overseas already. They're acclimated to the time zone, facing a rookie quarterback in his first start. I think Minnesota's a smash.
Hey, this streamer show's fun, dude. Like, because you can just name anybody that you're thinking about, whatever, because waivers usually pass. I like that Cardinals is a sneaky DST play because no one's thinking about them doing something. You know who else? The Browns have been really good defensively. They're not the problem this year. It's been the offense. Iggy, do you have something?
Yeah, I have a lot of shares of Sutton. He's probably one of my most owned players, honestly.
I don't know. I'm not much of a DST ranker, so I'll ask you fellas, but how would you rank the Rams defense with those waiver defenses that you guys said? Now that Purdy, Purcell, and Jennings is out.
I don't know. Kyle Shanahan has just owned the Rams. Like, I saw some people like go smash the over or go smash the spread right now. It's creeped up to 7.5. It started out at 5.5 for the Rams. I don't know, man. Thursday night's a little unpredictable. But I do think they should control it, but what's to say the 49ers don't put up some garbage time points and just kind of ruin everything that defense kind of put together. And we got to remember Mac Jones was wanted by Kyle Shanahan. He didn't want Trey Lance. He wanted Mac Jones. The second time Kyle Shanahan has been forced to take a quarterback he didn't want. First time it was RG3, and they wanted Kirk Cousins. And this time it was Trey Lance, and he wanted Mac Jones. So I just think Kyle Shanahan's system is just he's such a great mind in the system he implements. He kind of makes everybody better than what they should be. So I would be leery of starting the Rams. That's just my honest take.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be 15 other defenses that you could play ahead of the Rams.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your answer then.
So you ready for some bets? I know Iggy.
This is your ass off. I'm ready for some bets.
Yeah, go ahead, Jamie. Lead it off. Go ahead, Jamie. If you want to lead it off, you can.
So I know you just mentioned the Rams. I'm actually taking that 7.5. I did see it creep up more and more, but I'm comfortable because Purdy's out, Pearsall's out, Jennings out. And Kittle. That's their whole receiving core. I don't even know the names of the receivers on that team, so it's going to be CMC. So I would take CMC. Probably I don't know if his line's out. I haven't looked at it, but 120 plus total yards. I would smash that. But I'm also taking the Rams at 7.5 just because they are at home.
No, I like it. As of right now, I only have 2 Thursday bets so far. I got Demarcus Robinson. So that's one of the wide receivers. Wide receivers for the 49ers will be Demarcus Robinson, Marquise Valdez-Scantling, and Sky Moore. So it's pretty much just putting it on Robinson. He was out with the suspension, so he only caught 1 pass for 21 yards last week. But I'd be willing to bet he's gotten reps with Mac Jones and, before the season began. So I kind of think it was there. It was at 450 before these announcements came out. I don't know. Let me see if I can find it real quick on FanDuel. But I just like it. I think Robinson's got a good chance. Yeah, it moved down to plus 330. So it's already dropped plus 120. So I really like his opportunity, whether it's garbage time, whether it's a bomb. He's got some speed to him. He's not quite Marquise Valdez-Scantling, but he can still go deep. They're basically 3 burners: Sky Moore, Robinson, Marquise Valdez-Scantling all go deep. So I like Robinson. And then I also like on the flip side, Devontae Adams, anytime touchdown. Look, Puka Nacua has 1 receiving touchdown this year, and he leads all wide receivers because they just use him to get the ball down the field. And then when it gets close to the red zone, it's not Kyron Williams, it's not Tyler Higbee, it's not Puka Nacua, it's Devontae Adams. He's the red zone threat guy. It's at plus 115. You can almost put 2 units on that because if everybody's pretty much on the Rams, Sean McVay doesn't really take his foot off the pedal, particularly against his old, especially against Kyle Shanahan, the guy that essentially got him into coaching. So I like Adams and I like Demarcus Robinson for 2 touchdowns.
I love that Adams call. Today I was at work and I put a bet. It was a parlay. I put the Adams touchdown, and then I altered his receiving yards at 50 plus. And I forgot what the odds were, but I put like $10 on it. I think 40 or something. So I like that call.
Yeah, I like it too, man. Like I said, that's pretty much my only bets I got. I can kind of look around while you give the next one and can give us probably one more bet.
It's so hard. Yeah, I've been like giving up on it because like IDP bets, like if you don't do it Thursday, they're not set. So I think 2 is plenty unless you got some that you want to get off your chest.
Yeah, so a lot of the lines aren't out for like player. So I found I like the Lions minus 10.5 versus the Bengals. The Lions, they got to be the biggest road favorite on the board right now.
Definitely.
And the Bengals underperforming, and the Lions offense is just rolling. So I do love that. A couple player props I was looking at that aren't out, but I dug deep into it, and I'm going to take the Ramondre Stevenson and the Henderson lines. Whenever they come out, I'm guessing they're going to be between 40 to 50 maybe rushing yards, or you could even alt it to 40 to 50 rushing yards, because they're facing a defense ranked last in the league against the run. The Bills aren't that great against the run. So what do you think about that one?
I like it. I got both of those guys in Dynasty, so I don't know if, Stevenson's still getting the majority of the carries, so I would, if you want to just go one of them, tilt towards Stevenson, but I think they're going to have a good chance. And
maybe Henderson passing yards, maybe.
Yeah, he'll probably get, or his receptions line. He might be at angle too.
Hey, we had a couple questions in the chat. I'm just going to interrupt you really quick. Houston Live TV said, "Hey, I love this show. We love you too. Keep on coming on the show." And we gotta give Iggy his props for just coming on and because me and Jamie, we do this all night, don't we? We go back and forth all day long. Iggy just jumped in the firefight, no script. He's just going to town. You're like that machine gunner in Platoon. You're just covering down on us. You got some love from our baseball fan, Catcher in the Rays. Clever name, Catcher in the Rays here. A question for IDP Iggy. Only Jamie, only IDP Iggy can answer this one. He's my friend. You can't have him, Catcher in the Ray. You can't have him. He's my friend. But anyway, he wants to know from you, is there one IDP player rest of the season that's maybe buried in ADP that you think it's a must-own?
Oh, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
A little bit of a tough question. Buried in ADP that might come back. If somebody dropped Herbert, you talked about him. I think he's got potential, great speed, great pressure. And they're on a bye week, the Steelers this week. So if you see him, go ahead and take a look. Another person that might be buried, that's active. That's just pretty tough on the spot. I'm trying to think. I think Demetrius Knight he's not owned that many leagues. So if you can go get him, I found him in deep leagues, still available. So if you can go take a look at him with the Bengals, I don't think their offense is going to put together too much. So I'll go with Knight because I think he's more available. They're playing this week. And I don't think you just heard Steve say Wilson's sharing snaps. Knight's not. So, go take a look at it. Or Devin Bush. But Devin Bush is probably owned in a lot of leagues. So
that is hard on the spot. I will say this. I can't remember which one said it, Houston TV it's Catcher in the Ray. Whenever I'm looking at a deep buried player, a little cheat that I like to do, I will look at second-year players because the ADP is not there yet. So look for this second-year breakout kind of players or even rookies. Like Nick Scorton, for example, he's starting to get a little run, little playing time. You could probably scoop him up before he's a thing. but look for players before the breakout, if that makes sense. Guys like Tobias Robinson of the Ravens, guys like that. People like Michael Williams. I didn't, but I can see a multiverse. I can see a universe somewhere where his doppelganger excels. Guys like that. Second, I know I'm dodging the question a little bit, but I look for stuff like that when I'm looking at
Sean Elliott too. He was injured. He got injured week 1.
Oh yeah, he did.
Came back and led all DBs in week 4 on bye week this week. So Deshaun Elliott might be a good. I mean, if he's available, he's a plug and play safety. So.
Jamie, I'm going to answer the Brisker question a little bit later on. Jamie, what do you got for bets, my friend? Do you have any other ones?
I got a few more, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'll get that later. Go ahead.
I was looking at Chris Olave from the Saints. Like I said, his line's not out yet, but I'm projecting it could be between 50 to 60 yards. He faces the Giants this week, and they allow the most points to opposing wide receivers, and he's the number 2 targeted wide receiver in the league. So I would take a 50 to 60 yard easily for Olave. What do you think about that, Iggy?
Yeah, they're playing the Giants. Olave got 4 receptions last week, which tied Kamara. Spencer Rattler, though, it's just the thing about this matchup that's interesting to me is I think Olave will get those yards, but it's like Jackson Dart did not look good to me. When I went back and watched that game, if it weren't for his running, he looked terrible. Spencer Rattler looks okay. He can throw the ball pretty good. Spencer Rattler is like 0-10 in his career as a starter, or 0-9. Jackson Dart is 1-0. So it's interesting to me, but I like Olave. I've never shied away from Olave. He's a big target, guys. So I think if there's an opportunity for him to take advantage of kind of they got a great pass rush in New York. They don't have the greatest pass secondary. So yeah, I like it.
Then I got another one, David Montgomery versus the Bengals this week, who ranked 26th against the run. Allowed 135 plus yards per game. Montgomery, I'm guessing his rushing line is going to be around 45, but he's averaged, 61.3 over the last 4 games, and that's even with him just being held to 12 yards on 9 carries last week. So I expect a huge increased workload for this matchup, so I'm willing to take a 40, 50-yard plus on Montgomery.
Yeah, I don't know what his line was. He had a really bad game last week, so I expect him to bounce back this week.
Yeah, I like that. And then I got one more is George Pickens. I would take the receptions over 4+, maybe 5+, over 60 yards. And this is the one I love because I'm taking his longest reception over whatever they set it at. If it's 20, 24.5, I'm taking the longest reception over 24.5 because he cleared that 8 of his last 10 games. So we all know he has that ability to stretch the field, and they're going to look for him deep. So I would take his receptions over. I would take his over on yards and the longest reception over. And that's all I got for bets.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. Iggy, any thoughts?
Yeah, I like those bets. I was trying to look for stuff. I like Seattle to beat Tampa Bay this week. That's one of the longest flights in the country. 12th man. Seattle's just going to run it. Tampa Bay has one of the worst rush defenses in the league. So it's a 3-point spread if you feel good on that, or if you just want to take the money line at -180. I like that as well.
I like it. I'm putting a bet on that right now.
Heck yeah. So Epic had a question, and I'm glad you brought it up because I skipped it. I was going to do it at the end. I write this article called the Every Down Linebacker article that came out today. The other article I write is the IDP Safety Dance, where I record, the safety dance in the NFL, all the snaps, all the plays. That's what it looks like. That should be out tomorrow. They like to kind of space out the articles that we write over there. So just be mindful of that. It comes out tomorrow, guys. I actually have your question. Epic asked a question about Brisker. I'm not sure if he answers earlier. What do you think about Brisker with Buyer producing? Believe it or not, in that article, I lead my article with Brisker talk. So go ahead and check out that article in general. Iggy, you love my article, right? That's probably the most vital. Like, that's like your IV, your CPR. Linebackers don't change much pending an injury. Top DLs are kind of same, but safety dance, that changes every week, don't it?
Oh, you're on mute again.
Yeah. So hybrid safeties are kind of the new thing in the NFL. Once the NFL put a premium on quarterback, once they started paying quarterbacks a whole lot, that put a premium on defensive ends, which is putting a premium on tight ends, which is putting a premium on hybrid safeties. So safeties numbers can be more volatile due to that.
Now, I like tackle leagues, so I can get away with those box snap safeties. So this thing's important to me. So I kind of do this selfishly for myself, but to share it with you guys. But to your point on Brisker, I really wanted to see this because you're right. He's been underproducing. I wanted to see what's going on here. Remember 2024, before the injury, Brisker was seeing 70% of box snaps. He had that great rookie season. You know, the Bears secondary featured Kyle Gordon, Eddie Jackson, and him. He was that very dependable every down piece. And we've been drafting him as a DB1 ever since. Then he had the concussion year. Then he had the concussions. What is he on right now? His fourth concussion in 3 years. It's risky. So the short answer is they're kind of pacing him. They're kind of letting him play back. But also, you got to be mindful. I'm scared when a new defensive coordinator comes in because they change things around and it affects these defensive backs. I mean, heck, look at Tyler Nubin right now. He's struggling. Not that he's a bad player, but because of the positions. So let me tell you what's going on with the Bears right now because I pulled the numbers on this. Nick McLeod is the player's name. He is getting a huge chunk of the slot snaps as well as the box snaps. So that's putting those Brisker numbers in shame right now. And Kyle Gordon's coming back. If they keep on the outside cool, that's good for McLeod. But if they put him back in a slot, that's still bad news for Brisker all around. So Brisker's a player, DB1, that you had to draft him. You're probably getting 3 or 4 right now. I'm getting rid of him. I've been trying to trade him on suspecting people right now. Jamie, this is how bad it's been for Brisker. I told you this is a guy that used to get 70% of the box. You know what he's getting right now? 27.7% in the box. It's clearly this defensive scheme is impacting his value, and position, pre-snap, context matters. It's going to affect your production. He's only getting 5 tackles or fewer 3 out of 4 games. I am scared to death of Brisker. See if you can trade him one more week. They're on a bye. If you can, you're going to have to get rid of him. Your answer to Buyer right now showed off last week. What did they beat the Raiders? I think it was 25-24. Kevin Byard had 2 picks. Tyreek Stevenson had 1. Heck, Andrew Billings even forced a fumble. Those kind of stats are unsustainable week to week, but it just shows you the scheme has changed. These guys are going to be, flex plays week to week, but it's incredibly altering Brisker. So be mindful of that. Yes, you should be off Brisker. Excellent question. Thank you for reminding me to answer that. I had a whole thesis on Brisker, Iggy in my mind, and then I realized he's on bye this week, so I had to kind of scrap it. So thanks for bringing that. I had it on Fancy Frames. I was ready to go, and I'm like, thanks for bringing that back up so I can talk it again. But, yeah, Brisker is one of those guys you're going to have to get rid of, sadly. Dude, I hate it. Iggy, I got shares of, Tyler Nubin. Jesse Bates is sometimes playable, but, I have guys like that I don't want to throw away. Just a name value. They're like the last spot on my bench, but you can't play them, not for what they're giving you, not with the Connors and Siggles and the rise of the Tyke Smiths of the world.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Bates is a shame because he's truly an elite DB.
Yeah, Epic, when you ask a question, we go in depth. This is like 101. This is like professor stuff here. If I don't do it, Iggy's going to do it or Jamie's going to do it. Guys, if you don't have any other questions, I don't think I have any more thoughts. Do you guys have anything you want to say?
No, if you can stack that up for next week because there's going to be more bye weeks. If you can do that, do it right now. Like if you can sit a player or drop a player and go get them for week 6, go do it. Get ahead of the game.
Heck yeah. I'd like to take the time, and especially with you, Iggy, being our guest, I'd want to take the time to promote your work, where the audience could find you. Seems like you got a good, cool vibe, which I knew you would. These guys kind of want to hear about what you have to say. What did you say, Epic? You all answered everything I had to throw, and y'all, that's why I'm here. This is why we created this show. Me and Jamie created this show because everyone has a damn waiver thing. Pardon my French. Everyone has a whatever show or a sit start. What about if you missed waivers, or what about if you want to capture everything? Jamie, this is the only show. You said it yourself last week. The only show that sprinkles IDP and offense, and we added an extra 30 minutes of coverage for bets. This is the only show. If you miss anything, just come over here and catch up on the week, So thank you for saying that. And thank you for all these excellent questions.
Yeah, this has honestly been another great episode diving into the offense and IDP. We had an amazing guest tonight with
first round draft pick.
We really appreciate you coming on, dude. You can always find me right here Wednesday on the IDP Center with Steve. Also, Sunday before the games, if you have any last-minute start-sit decisions, I have you covered. I'm over at the Going for Two live on YouTube, so come check me out there.
The best way to follow me and Iggy, I don't want to speak for him. I think it's Twitter, because me and him are always on Twitter. We're always talking. Jamie's more of a Facebook guy. We have a Facebook group called FFD. Jamie, you want to talk about that at all?
It's for Dynasty. If you're not in Dynasty, we have another one that has like 42,000 members. It's called Fantasy Football Discussion. It's ran by me and the Fantasy Six Pack. So you can just go search that up.
I've been dying to do the show with you guys. I'm not going to lie. What Iggy does every week, it's a special thing, especially for that Kawasaki disease and a charity. And I'm happy to be a part of it. Like, again, going outside of football and winning basic leagues, this is all we are as an extension of one another. We're hoping the stuff in the chat makes better ballers. We're going to be getting our ass kicked in 3-4 years, Iggy. These guys are going to know the stuff. They're going to know the Redmonds and the Latus before we do. Iggy, any thoughts? Anything you want to close the show with? And finally, please promote your work and where they can find you.
Just thank you guys for having me, man. It's a lot of fun. Covering both sides of the ball, getting some bets in. If you want my bets in my IDP report, I write about a 2,000 word report. Steve can be long-winded too. So if you like Steve's articles, you'll like this one. It's found at Fantasy Alarm. They do have a 20% off right now with Scary 20. You can get that off till the end of the NFL season. So you'll find most of that work there. I also do NBA bets 7 days a week once that starts up over at Fantasy Alarm. And then the sports affiliation, I do shorts over there. I do the Black and Blue FF preview with Andy Behrens, Greg Kellogg, and JC. JC part of the Kings Classic IDP division as well. And we just cover the Black and Blue division, which is the NFC North. Bears fan, Packers fan, Lions fan, and Vikings fan. So we cover everything from fantasy and just a little bit of a humorous take on our team sometimes. So make sure you can find that on the YouTube at the Sports Affiliation. And producing. And if anybody's watching and has any questions, I've got 15 leagues, but I'm happy to help you in any way I can. If you just send me a direct question, or actually the best way to get me to answer your question is to go on Twitter, go on my page, tag me, and I'll see it, because my messages, if I don't follow you, I won't. It's like behind something, and I have to accept it, and I only go do that about once a month. So if you have a question, just tag me, put me on the Twitter, and I'll come to it right away.
Heck yeah, that's all I got, guys. Again, an hour and a half of just having fun with your bros. That's what this is all about. Thank you for coming on. This is the IDP podcast, IDP Hunter Podcast, mind you. Talk hard, everybody. Take care.